you struggle with what to say when a death has occurred? Most of us do. So today we're going to be talking about what to say when death has occurred. Grief can be such an uncomfortable state, and often that discomfort shows up in our words. So today when we discuss what to say, when we are the supporter of the griever, I'm going to give you some rules to follow about how to support someone, what to say, so that it is a unique, heartfelt phrase that a grieving heart needs to hear. My name is Jo McRogers, and I'm a social worker dedicated to supporting grief in my private therapy practice. Please join our Grievolution community, where we attempt to do grief differently by subscribing to this channel and turning on the notifications so that you are aware every time we're talking about a different aspect of grief. And also please share this channel with anybody who you think might benefit. As a grief therapist, I have heard horrible comments that have been made to grievers over the years. What I really wanted to do was make a list today that told you what not to say to people. So I have tempered that with please what not to say, but also how to create what to say. So that is more my inspiration for today's video, helping you figure out what to say. I need to remind myself often that even when awful things are said to grievers, it genuinely comes from a place of comfort. It genuinely comes from a place of concern and support. But I will full on admit that I am a condolence snob. I have very little patience for the wrong things being said to grievers. It is the age of information. There are many places you can Google and search out what to say to a grieving person. So please, let's start by making that effort. So, however, when I'm not busy being judgmental about that, I've come to recognize that struggling with what to say to a griever largely just represents our discomfort with grief and death in our society. I do believe that that reflection shows up in our misguided words of comfort. So what I want to emphasize to you is that as a supporter of someone who is grieving, your job is to identify, to witness, and to validate that person's grief. Your job is not to discomfort them by alleviating their distress. Let's just start with that. The place to start is through empathy. So the first guiding principle that I would ask you to use is to put yourself in that person's shoes. Before you go to the funeral home, before you write a card, before you run into them at the grocery store, please ask yourself, how would I want to feel after someone offers me a condolence? Because if you can figure out how you want to feel after that, then you will be able to find the right words to be able to offer to that person. Most people, and I've been there, tell me that they don't want to be seen as a victim. They don't want to be someone who is pitied. What they really don't want is that head tilt that says, oh, I'm so sorry. That is not necessarily what a grieving heart wants to hear. If you can figure out how you would want to feel after being offered a condolence, if it is that you want to feel seen, that you want to feel respected, that you want your grief validated, then imagine words and phrases that offer up that feeling. Things such as, this sucks. Phrases such as, I don't have the right words, but I'll be in it with you to figure it out. Phrases such as, there are no words, so I'm offering my love or my hugs. Phrases that, I will be there with you to see this through. Those are the kinds of phrases that grievers want to hear. The other thing that you can offer up is a heartfelt, true story of your favorite memory of the person who has passed. One of the biggest fears of grievers is that the person who they love and have now lost is going to be forgotten. So please try to honor and respect that need to be seen. Offer up a loving, kind, funny story. There is room for laughter at funerals and death. Be careful not to use phrases. Please don't use phrases that start with at least. At least you had him as your partner for 40 years. At least you saw your baby take a breath. At least they're out of their pain. Please don't start sentences with at least. There is no room for that in death or grief. Please don't offer up until the struggle is over. Your job is to witness the grief. Your job is not to comfort them out of the pain. What you need to be careful with is, as a support to a griever, please don't offer any conclusions to their grief. Someone else's grief is not yours to make conclusions about. Now, should the griever themselves say, "Thank you very much, I am just relieved that he is out of his pain," then please follow that lead and say, "Oh, that is a beautiful perspective." Follow their lead and say, "I hope that brings you some grounding as you face this." Witness and follow their lead. Please don't make any conclusions. Please don't try to alleviate their distress. Please don't let that, helper silver lining persona come forward to try to alleviate their grief. Simply witness and follow their lead. The next filter that I want you to consider is the level of intimacy. It's the level of intimacy that you have established with the griever. Grief is not only uncomfortable, it can be a very intimate space as well. And sometimes the intimacy of grief temporarily pushes the feeling of intimacy with the person who has experienced the loss. And this can be a very bonding experience in the moment. However, be careful not to let it lead you into places where it creates this false sense of support or this extended sense of support when it doesn't really match what you're able to follow through with. So please try to make sure that your statements to the griever match what you can follow through and what your relationship with the griever is. So many times "I'll be there for you" becomes a hollow experience for the griever. And it happens because intimacy of the grief moments sort of take over, and we of course all want to be there for one another. But please don't say things such as "I'll be there for you." Please don't say "I'm a phone call away" if in fact that's not what's going to happen. Please do say "I'm checking in on you in 10 days" if you're able and willing to follow through with that. Or if you aren't that close to the griever, then please do say "I'm here today so you know I'm thinking of you." And leave it at that. That is a strong enough connection for the grieving heart. Grief is so often filled with feelings of abandonment and loss. I want to ask you as the support person to please not set up that dynamic of abandonment and loss by making emotion-fueled moments and statements that just aren't going to happen. Please always keep the griever's heart in the forefront and be honest with them about what you're able to offer. That's what the grieving heart needs in that moment. I'm so curious to hear from any of you what might have been the most helpful response or phrase that's been offered to you in a period of grief. Together we can learn from one another what comforting phrases were offered, and then I'd like you to also tell us how those phrases made you feel. Because if we can identify what the emotional goal is in offering a grieving heart, then we will be able to sculpt and create our own unique phrases. So please leave your comment below, and together we can all learn in our Grievolution community. So in conclusion, I just want to review the two filters that we've spoken about today. And the first filter is to form your phrases, find your own unique words that are comfortable to you, that are authentic, and that acknowledge and witness the grief of the griever. I want you to remind yourself to do that from a place of empathy, not from a place of comfort. Grief needs to be witnessed. That is your job. Please do not try to comfort them, because that in turn ends up minimizing or denying some of their grief. Their job is to seek comfort, and that may not be from you. So please witness, support, and validate. The second filter to use when you're deciding what to say when death has occurred revolves around the concept of intimacy. As a beginning place, please try to sculpt your words around the intimacy that you have with the griever. Your words and your energies need to carry and reflect the relationship that you have with them. Please do not let the overwhelming emotions or the large discomfort with grief lure you into sort of a false commitment or into a false level of intimacy with the griever. Please be honest with yourself about what you can offer, and then be clear about how you can offer that with heartfelt love and support to the griever. Stepping beyond the intimacy that you have with the griever can set up false hopes or false expectations, and the griever is left feeling that they aren't actually being supported, and often we're left feeling that we're a bad friend. So please try to front end load what you can commit to based on the level of intimacy with the griever. There are many lists out there that you can search up in terms of what to say to people when somebody has died. So please feel free to do that. But what I hoped to do today was to teach you what's important in how to sculpt and how to create your own unique phrases, your own unique responses to every situation, so that you're not feeling like you're using anyone else's words, so that you can offer authentic and heartfelt words that are going to mean a world of difference to a grieving heart. It's so important that you know how to navigate this, both for yourself and for the griever, and why your words are powerful and impactful. So I hope that's been helpful for you today. If this video has been helpful, please hit the like button below. Please share with anybody who you think might benefit from having watched the video. Invite them into our Grievolution by sharing this channel. And know that anytime you are extending words of compassion to someone who's experienced a loss, I want you to always extend kind thoughts, kind words, and kind heart, both to yourself and to the griever. So I thank you again for joining me today, and I'll see you next time.